Deshaun Jackson's had a pretty good first two games with Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing to him, so perhaps that lends a little bit towards where his thinking is. But is he right? Do you stick with the hot hand, even though Jameis is really your guy in Tampa Bay?
Well, Deshaun and I have a lot in common because I made all my decisions based off
on
the NBA Jam, too.
Yeah, that's what I did. It's so funny you said that.
It was helping because it helps me navigate through a lot of things in life.
Thank you.
A lot of things in life. I heard Chris's point about this situation where Jameis didn't lose his job because of injury. He's not injured. He's suspended. There was a letdown to the team, and he has taken responsibility for it. And it's different. It's different. And then to have the situation that you have now with the type of start that they've had, I would imagine they'll stay the course as long as they possibly can to see where this goes. And I don't think it's bad for Jameis to be able to come back and to have a game or two or however long they're able to ride this hot hand for him to get back into game shape, get back into game planning, get back into all those different things. You know, with Fitzpatrick, he's had these patterns. He has a year where he typically is amazing, and then the next year there tends to be a letdown. And
sometimes it's been game to game.
Sometimes it's been game to game, and you're playing with house money. There were no expectations on you. There are no expectations on the team. You go in, you can see the casualness he has after the game with the uni that he put on. Like this, he's just purely having fun, and that's probably where he operates best. Now, when expectations start coming back into play, when the pressure starts coming back on, when all those things happen, you know, let's see where he is.
Coach, was that 3 seasons ago that he was coming off the big season and then he kind of held out? He wanted the long-term contract. That was 3 seasons.
2015 was his good year. 2016 is the year you're talking about.
Yeah, I met Fitzpatrick. I met him at Augusta National watching the Masters. Spent a couple days walking there with him. After day number 2, because I saw him the first day, we walked and spent some time together and everything. So sometimes I could be a little much. So I came on him easy.
Say.
So after I bumped into him the second day, you know, they got this holdout and everything. I'm like, hey, Fitzy, you know, give me a little information. What's going on and everything? He's like, man, they don't want to pay me and everything. So he went through it and what his demands were and everything. I was like, Fitzy, you're not asking for it. Let me give you some advice. Next time they call you, pick up the phone and take what they offer. Okay? Let's not be unrealistic here, Fitzy. All right? I know we're here at Augusta and everything, and it's nice and everything, but this is like make-believe. We can't come back here unless we're playing a tournament. Fitzy, you're not going to be no starter, bro. Get that money now. Now, you went to Harvard for a reason. Now, you're making me question your whole IQ. So we went back and forth for a couple days and everything. He held out a little bit longer. He ended up signing with them before the season, made some good money and everything. But he's had these patterns. Like, he is the perfect example of what not to follow, all right? Because he will go in there and he will light it up. And then he will come back out 2 weeks later and he will throw the ball going the other way. That is the reality. But Jameis, he brings this into play because of his bad decision-making. And it's also, not Jameis is just not suspended. We have to realize there was an investigation where he was charged with some serious stuff in college. And now he's
accused of some serious stuff.
Excuse me?
Accused of some serious stuff in college. Because he never charged. That's all I was going to say.
He was accused of some serious stuff. He ended up settling it, I think, civilly. Okay? My daughter was friends with a lot of Florida State players. All right? She was an athlete at Florida State. Jameis was involved in a number of things that they also didn't report. I'm not talking about the lobster legs and all the crab legs and all that kind of stuff. Jameis was not showing the type of judgment that NFL teams would invest in a franchise quarterback. And now he ends up this offseason involved in something very, very similar to some of the things he was involved in college that he was accused of. So the little boy who cried wolf, eventually it's going to come back to haunt him. So Jameis has made poor decisions. Fitzy, they should roll with Fitzy. And Deshaun Jackson's playing the best football of his career. So don't ask him as the coordinator or the coach. You can't ask him. Fitzy should stay in there.
And he's playing the best of his career after having the worst year of his career last year, his first year.
But it's not as if Jameis hadn't played good football. All right? Fitzy has never played as good as Jameis played 2 years ago. Jameis, if they're going forward a franchise quarterback, I believe he is a franchise quarterback. They should invest with him. And I wouldn't mind Coach having him sit there and watch Fitzy, because you learn an awful lot as being a starter. When you come back after sitting some time, you should be a better quarterback just by watching it. It's
going to be so interesting to see as pressure mounts on Tampa Bay, as pressure mounts on Ryan Fitzpatrick, as expectations change, as the seriousness with the way people are approaching Tampa Bay changes. Because it could have easily been one of those deals where you're playing the backup quarterback, you're playing Tampa Bay, you're not quite as dialed in as you should be. Now everybody's dialed in. Will Fitzpatrick be able to ride this same wave and the same level of consistency?
Well, listen, I think that Fitzpatrick's going to be the starter after Jameis comes back for at least a week, barring a meltdown performance Monday night against Pittsburgh. I also think Jameis is going to be the starter by the midway point of the season, or at the latest, and the starter throughout the rest of the year, barring injury. But I want to ask you this, because you have very specific experience with something somewhat similar. Now, Brad Johnson was not suspended and was not accused of something horrific, but he got hurt. And a former starter but journeyman who had been out of football, he was a bricklayer, right? Randall, before he came back to the NFL, he takes over, and you guys, everyone, I remember it. Well, Randall Cunningham can't keep this up. Randy Moss can't keep this up. Randall Cunningham can't keep this up. He kept it up, won the league MVP. Is there any, forget the league MVP part of it, but do you give this any chance of mirroring that? Where got two excellent wide receivers, even though it's not you and Randy, and a backup quarterback who was not expected to be the guy, gets the job and never relinquishes it?
No, he's not Randall Cunningham. Randall had more talent. And there were things that Randall could do that Brad couldn't do. Tell me one thing that Fitzy can do that Jameis can't do.
Grow a long beard.
That would be it. That's a good one.
That might be a crime in itself.
Sorry. Okay. I just didn't know if I just wanted to.
No, it's a good way to button it up.
To contribute. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.